I don't think we have seen Shakur face anyone higher than who he's gonna face next, and that's of me. So, I definitely, commend him at least for stepping up to the plate. But I think it's time. I think it's really that time for him to really take his first loss, and me whoop his to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out.
Was interesting. What did you make of his vibe overall?
I think something mentally wrong with him. I don't think he's like all the way there mentally. I think he's crazy.
Legit?
That's my opinion. Yeah, I think he's legit crazy. I think something really wrong with him, but that's what make him dangerous. I think them the guys is the most dangerous people. Them delusional, crazy people who want to be the best and want their spot at greatness. So I gotta respect it, but I think something is definitely.
Teofimo Lopez came face-to-face with Shakur Stevenson in a tense live showdown, trading words head-on with no backing down.
They're going to see my power. They talk a lot about my defense, but they're going to see my power in this fight against Teofimo.
Shakur is slow. He's slow. I seen him at lightweight. I had seen only highlights of his last fight with Cepeda, and he's slow. He's really slow. There's nothing more to it than that.
Like, even if they're not friends, but they know each other like that, one of two things always happens. Either it's a sparring session or it's brutal.
This ain't gonna be no sparring session. This is not gonna be no sparring session.
What's it gonna be?
He's coming to win. I'm coming to win. I guarantee you that.
I'm coming to conquer.
You're not conquering shit.
Tell us. Conquer.
You're not.
You could sense the temperature change the second he made it clear this wasn't an online argument anymore. He brushed off the keyboard wars and made the point loud and clear. Talking on the internet is easy, but real statements are made inside the ring. He acknowledged the back and forth on social media, then flipped it into a challenge. If there's going to be exchanges, let them happen under the lights with gloves on. That's the kind of moment that hits different, because it didn't sound rehearsed or promotional. It sounded like someone who was done tweeting and ready to handle it the only way fighters really know how.
Technique fighter.
Yeah.
Can't take anything away from it. However, scared to get hit. Scared to get knocked out in front of the world. Scared to get touched up in front of the world.
Are you saying that off of the last fight or just
in general?
In general.
In general.
Yeah.
In general. Me and Shakur sparred before. We did 3 rounds, and it was just light work. And me trying to figure out his jab. Does he have a good jab? Yeah, he does. But once you pass his jab, it's game.
Yeah.
It's food. It's lunch food.
He even slipped in a bit of respect, though it came with an edge. Teofimo acknowledged that Shakur deserves props for moving straight up to 140 without any warm-up fights, willingly leaving the safety of what he knows best. But you could almost hear the pause before the real message landed. He made it clear he believes he's the one who's going to put that first loss on Shakur's record, and he warned that the fight won't unfold the way Shakur is imagining. It's that unmistakable Teofimo swagger, equal parts self-belief and bold bravado, that's always been part of his identity, whether people love it or roll their eyes at it.
He's just coming right to the guy, and that's me. The king of the 140 division, super lightweight division, that's Teofimo Lopez. And, he's willing to step up, get out of his comfort zone, and yeah. I give him that. However, it's not going to happen. I would love to, and I see myself giving him his first loss in his professional career.
Teofimo Lopez says that he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson dirty.
Stylistically, when you see a fighter like him, it is not illegal to do certain punches and throw certain punches or hit certain areas.
I heard that concept from an icon.
That's depending on how masterful he is. You have to be dirty. You gotta be rough. You have to use the elbows, head, bending up. You have to use everything. This guy, as far as his style is concerned, this guy is a master.
Then he went for the knockout statement. He explained that a fight with Shakur can't be clean or pretty, because trying to match a master technician move for move just turns into a dull, hard-to-score chess match. In those kinds of fights, crowds lose interest and scorecards become a gamble. He dismissed the idea that Shakur is some untouchable defensive genius, insisting he spots openings others don't. Teofimo went further, questioning Shakur's quickness, suggesting the speed is exaggerated, and arguing that none of Shakur's past opponents truly compare to the level he brings into the ring.
You gotta make it a little ugly. You gotta make it a little ugly. If you try to be too technical with Shakur, it could be too long of a weighted chess match. Certain people don't want to see that. They don't want to see pop shots. You know what I mean? They want to see good action. I don't think, for me, I don't see Shakur having the best defense in boxing. However, others can attest that. So, I just can't wait to really show the flaws that I see in Shakur Stevenson and, really putting that to the test.
And right on cue, Shakur responded without raising his voice, and somehow that made it colder. He threw out lines that sounded simple but cut deep, basically saying real speed doesn't need promotion, it arrives and proves itself. He added that everyone thinks they see weaknesses until the punches start coming up short, which felt more threatening than any trash talk. Meanwhile, Teofimo was already talking about rediscovering his edge, predicting a stoppage once that fire is fully lit again. Coming off the whole Times Square moment, that kind of talk sounds unhinged to some and dangerous to others, but either way, it made the exchange impossible to ignore.
It's no Floyd Mayweather. He is considered probably the most superior, technically sound boxer in the world. So with Teofimo Lopez saying, hey, I'm going to do things that people may think is dirty, but it's legal. I can't fight in a very sound sportsmanship manner. I have to create chaos. And maybe Shakur Stevenson, maybe he can't operate.
But that level of conviction is exactly what turns matchups into minefields. Shakur pushed back by saying the extra weight changes nothing upstairs, the same mind, the same precision. He reminded Teofimo that proximity to someone like Crawford doesn't inflate ego, it tightens habits and reinforces structure. At this point, it stopped feeling like simple verbal sparring. What we're watching is two philosophies slamming into each other, raw chaos testing calculated control, each daring the other to slip first. And trust me, when the lights are on, one of these guys is going to find out just how real his self-belief actually is.
Crawford stated, "Oh, you want to get to me?"
Yeah, but he really want to fight Crawford, and we're gonna call him out after we beat up his boy.
That's the game plan. Even though you guys have, even if he requires you,
well, he ain't gonna fight us, man. He ain't gonna fight us, man. We've been chasing this guy for the longest. My son is even willing to go up to 160 to fight him. Listen, speed kills. You know what I'm saying? Speed kills, and that's why we're gonna beat Shakur. He ain't faster than us, and we're gonna catch him.
And just when Teofimo and Shakur had finished spending confidence like it was cash, Robert Garcia slid into the conversation and brought everything back down to reality. He didn't raise his voice or chase headlines. He simply reminded everyone that excitement doesn't score points, clean rounds do. He labeled it a strong matchup, and coming from someone like Garcia, that word carries weight. When a trainer with his resume says strong, what he really means is risky on both sides. He gave Teofimo his credit for the major victories already on his resume and recognized Shakur's push toward history as a 3-division champion with his sights on a 4th. Then he steered the conversation where fans often stop listening, away from hype and toward the two things that decide fights when talent cancels out, mental toughness and ring intelligence.
Shakur is also a 3-division champion going for his 4th. Unbelievable talent. It's a fight where we're going to see talent from both, but we also have to see heart. That who has that heart to become.
Garcia made it clear, this isn't a contest of who can post the flashiest highlight on Instagram. It's a battle of strategy, of playing your cards right, and seeing who flinches first. That's pure coach talk, so clinical it almost stings, but it hits hard because he's framing it like this fight might not be non-stop fireworks, yet still has everyone on the edge of their seats. That's authentic boxing language. Some nights, the tension is so tight it's like walking a high wire, where one jab could change everything. And he's right, this isn't a fight where errors are forgiven, they're punished immediately. By putting the focus on brains and precision, Garcia nailed the point we've been circling the entire build-up. The smartest fighter, not the loudest or flashiest, will come out on top.
If Teofimo comes in at his best, because we've seen some great performances, but then we've also had those questions about Teofimo's mind, mentality in boxing, his future. So hopefully we get the best Teofimo, the Teofimo that wants to be the best in the world, because we know Shakur is one of those. Shakur always comes in as best.
Teofimo flourishes when chaos plays into his hands. Shakur excels when chaos is locked out entirely. And that detail matters more than most realize, because this isn't a one arrived late to the party scenario. This is two elite fighters, peak form, colliding at the same moment. No excuses, no hindsight narratives. I also noticed Garcia quietly highlighting that heart counts just as much as IQ, a subtle reminder that even the most calculated chess match still demands courage when the clock is ticking. This fight isn't about sheer dominance, it's about staying composed under pressure. And without raising his voice, Garcia made it clear, whoever keeps their emotions in check might be the one leaving with it all.
That fight's gonna be more about who's smarter, who plays the better cards, and who doesn't make mistakes. Because it's gonna be one of those fights where we might not have too much action, but we're all gonna be standing up because we want to see who's gonna land and who's gonna be the one that finds those punches to land. It's a very interesting fight, and they're both in their prime. They're both, that's what boxing is.
And right after Robert Garcia laid out that calm, seasoned blueprint on composure and smart fighting, Mikey Garcia jumped in sounding like the guy who's been inside the ring solving puzzles with no cheat sheet. He didn't pretend there's an easy way to crack Shakur, and I respect that. When he says, it's hard to call, it's honesty, not avoidance. He pointed directly to Teofimo's size and time spent at the weight, basically saying, if you've got the bigger, stronger advantage, don't leave it in the locker room, use it. What made Mikey's insight so sharp is how he immediately flipped to reality. Right after acknowledging Teofimo's edge, he started ticking off Shakur's tools: defense, speed, footwork, a quick list of headaches waiting in the ring. It's classic Mikey, recognizing danger without sugarcoating it, keeping the analysis grounded and real.
To kind of deal with a guy like Shakur Stevenson, how would you approach a fighter like Shakur Stevenson if you were Teofimo Lopez with the attributes that he has?
I would think Teofimo, being that technically he's a bigger fighter, bigger size, he's been at the weight class a little more and then just maybe built into it more. I would think he would have to use that, size.
He's basically pointing out that yes, Teofimo might have the strength advantage, but Shakur is the kind of fighter who can make raw power feel irrelevant if you can't dictate where the fight goes. And when Mikey called Shakur one of the most skilled fighters out there, it wasn't hype, it was a red flag. Skill like that doesn't bend to wishful thinking. The subtle layer in Mikey's words is important. He wasn't talking about knockout shots or flashy moments. He was talking about mindset, whether Teofimo has the discipline to fully embrace his physical edge instead of trying to outsmart a man whose life is built on cleverness. That's the real test. We know Teofimo has the talent, but Mikey is quietly asking if he can stay patient, control the pace, and apply pressure without walking into Shakur's traps. This isn't about intimidation, it's about measured authority. Mikey isn't saying Teofimo can't win, he's saying if victory comes, it'll be because Teofimo commits fully to his own strengths, both physical and mental, rather than trying to outthink a master strategist. Subtle, but takes like that often prove the most accurate over time.
I would think he would have to use that, size as an advantage. But it's hard to say because, Shakur Stevenson's so fucking good at what he does. Defense is on point, speed is on point, footwork is on point. And, he's really one of the best skilled fighters out there. So it's hard to say, oh, this is what you gotta do. No, it ain't easy, trust me. But being Teofimo, again, if he's bigger, naturally stronger, then he should try to use that.
And right after Mikey Garcia laid out that quiet test of Teofimo's mental commitment, Andre Rozier steps in sounding like a coach already 10 moves ahead on the whiteboard. When he breaks down this fight, you can tell he isn't impressed by stats or hype picks, he frames it as pure opposites, and that's the word that sticks. Rozier described Teofimo as a sharp, heavy-handed puncher and Shakur as precise and calculated to the extreme, a way of saying one guy crashes doors while the other knows how to pick the locks. Then he made it clear this isn't about non-stop action, it's about who can execute their plan under pressure. That's not downplaying the spectacle, it's a warning. In a fight like this, a single misstep can feel catastrophic. I loved that he shrugged off the betting lines, calling it a 50-50, because that's coach logic, not fan talk. He's essentially saying, forget the odds, I'm watching who thrives when the thinking gets toughest.
A very entertaining but intriguing bout. You have y'all take care. You have polar opposites in the ring. They do what they do very well. Teo is a sharp, big puncher. Shakur is articulate to the 9th degree. It's going to be entertaining. I can't wait for it myself. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to saying, oh, the best man won.
He really went deep when he analyzed Shakur's defense, and he didn't sugarcoat it as untouchable. Rozier described it as reactive, always waiting for counters, and warned, defensive fighters are hunting counters, which means if you give them room, you're asking to get caught. His answer wasn't mindless aggression, it was intelligent, relentless work. Keep moving, stay active, force patterns instead of hoping for a single moment to land. That advice about making a fighter miss once or twice, but not 8 times? That's pure coaching genius. Essentially, he was telling Teofimo, don't throw a punch and step back to admire it. Overwhelm the system until it breaks. What really popped was how much Rozier stressed denying Shakur time to think. Give Shakur a second too many, and he's a nightmare. Deny him time, and it's a whole different story. This wasn't hype, it was precise, surgical analysis. Rozier isn't selling fireworks. He's promising that tight, edge-of-your-seat tension where every jab, every feint could sway the fight.
Pulls off the best. All right there, nephew. Who pulls off the best game plan?
Absolutely. Shakur's a 3.5 to 1 favorite to win this fight. You think it's a little bit closer than that, or what do you think?
3.5 to 1. Wow, really?
Kind of crazy, right?
I think that myself, I've got it like 50-50 right now.
Exactly.
We're gonna see who rises to the occasion. Really. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's one of those bouts that it piques your interest and you want to see them give their all.
And that's why this perspective hits so hard. It ties Mikey's question about mindset to an actual blueprint. This isn't about finding one perfect punch to crack Shakur's defense. It's about wearing it down with intention, discipline, and relentless pressure that never turns into panic. That's how coaches frame a fight. That's also why every smart voice analyzing this matchup keeps making it feel more dangerous. Put it all together, and this fight stops being a simple prediction, it becomes a test of identity. Teofimo comes in loud, unpredictable, convinced chaos will reveal the truth. Shakur shows up calm, precise, betting that steady discipline outlasts raw adrenaline. Trainers and fighters alike are circling the same critical points, just from different angles. Teofimo must drive the action without losing himself. Shakur has to control the ring without letting confidence slip into complacency. The talent isn't in question anymore. The debate is about who they are. Does raw explosiveness crush calculated control, or does control smother chaos? Will this be the night Teofimo proves he peaks under the brightest lights, or the moment Shakur shows that consistency always outpaces ceiling? That's the tension that makes this fight matter far beyond belts or odds.
To set up a counter. That's what most defensive fighters do anyway. And he can't wait for those things to happen. He has to be busy and he has to be tenacious. That's how he can stay ahead of the defense. Because if you make me miss once, you make me miss twice. If I throw 5 more, it's very difficult to make me.
Now it's your turn. Who do you back when the pressure hits? The fighter who can explode for 50 on the perfect night, or the one who delivers 25 every single time without fail? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we want to hear the debate. And don't forget to smash that like button, share this with your crew, and subscribe to Boxing Hub. Catch you in the next breakdown.